Before sleep each night, the 1% feed their minds with the image of their desired success. They do not drift into slumber with worry, but with purpose. They see, feel, and believe their future as if it were already real. This is no accident. It's deliberate programming. The clock won't wait for you, but your mind will work while you sleep if you give it orders. 1. They visualize their success with absolute clarity before sleeping. 2. They give their subconscious a clear command to solve problems overnight. 3. They replay their goals like a mental movie every single night. 4. They replace doubt with faith and expectancy before closing their eyes. 5. They treat sleep as a tool for manifestation, not just rest. Every night, before drifting off to sleep, the top 1% of achievers perform a simple yet incredibly powerful act. They visualize their success with absolute clarity. This isn't just a fleeting thought or a casual daydream. No, they close their eyes and deliberately paint the picture of their desired future with such intensity and detail that it feels as real as the breath in their lungs. They don't just think about success, they experience it. In their minds, they see themselves walking across the stage to accept the award, signing the big contract, stepping into their dream home, or watching their bank account grow. They immerse every sense in the moment. They hear the applause, feel the firm handshake, taste the victory, smell the leather of the car, and see the smiles of those celebrating with them. And this clarity of vision doesn't happen by accident. It's a habit they've built and refined over time, one that feeds their subconscious mind with a crystal, clear target to aim for. You see, the mind is like a garden. Whatever seeds you plant, it will grow. Most people plant seeds of fear, doubt, or past failures, but the 1%, they choose their seeds carefully. They choose belief. They choose focus. They choose to see what they want before they ever have it. And when you do this with clarity, when you give your mind a sharp, focused picture of your desired future, it begins working immediately, even while you sleep, to find ways to bring that picture to life. The subconscious mind doesn't need permission to work, it just needs instruction, but it can't follow foggy commands. It responds to precision, and that's why clarity is king. The 1% know that vague goals produce vague results. They don't say, "I want to be rich," or "I hope I succeed." No, they see the exact number in their bank account, the exact business they've built, the exact life they're living, and as they see it, they begin to feel it. And feeling is the fuel of faith. When you feel something deeply enough, your belief in its possibility skyrockets. That belief leads to action, and that action eventually becomes your reality. But the first step, the foundational move, is clarity of vision. Just think about it. If you handed a blueprint to a construction crew and said, "Just build something nice," they'd look at you like you were crazy. Without a plan, they can't build. Your mind works the same way. It needs your blueprint. The 1% give their minds that blueprint every single night. And here's the magic. It doesn't matter how far you are from that vision in reality. What matters is that you see it as already done in your mind. Because the mind can't distinguish between something vividly imagined and something real. That's the trick, that's the secret, and that's why so few ever reach the heights they dream of. Because they never truly see those heights in their mind first. They want success, but they leave their vision blurry. They want change, but they don't define it. The 1% are different. They live by design, not by default, and it starts with those final minutes before sleep. While others scroll mindlessly through their phones, stressing over tomorrow, the 1% go inward. They close their eyes, calm their breath, and play the movie of their future on the screen of their mind. They see it, feel it, and lock it in, and they do it every night. Not just once, not just when they're motivated, but consistently, until their mind starts to believe it's already true. And when the mind believes something, the world begins to shift to match that belief. Opportunities appear, Ideas emerge, the right people show up, but it starts with you. It starts with a decision to use those quiet moments before sleep not as an escape, but as a creative space. Use that time wisely. Feed your mind the image of what you want. See yourself winning. See yourself strong, wealthy, loved, respected, whatever it is you're after. Don't let the day end with random thoughts. Direct your mind like a commander directs his army. Every night, build your future in your mind with such vivid detail that when you wake up, the world feels like it's already catching up to your dream. That's how the 1% operate. They don't wait for life to show them a picture. They show life what they've already seen. And slowly, surely, that vision becomes their truth. So tonight, before the clock runs out, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and dare to see the life you want. See it so clearly that it stirs something inside you. Because when you go to sleep with a vision, you wake up with purpose. And purpose, my friend, is what separates the dreamers from the doers. The clock won't wait for you, but your future is already waiting in your mind. See it, own it, live it. The 1% understands something most people overlook. Your subconscious mind is a powerful problem-solving machine, but it only responds to direct instruction, and the best time to activate it is right before you go to sleep, when your conscious mind is winding down and your subconscious takes over. The night, instead of worrying about bills, regrets, or unfinished tasks, the high achievers give their subconscious a clear command, an assignment, if you will. They end their day not with chaos, but with clarity. They don't toss and turn thinking about what went wrong. They ask powerful, targeted questions and plant ideas in their minds like seeds in fertile soil. How can I double my income this year? What's the best way to solve that challenge at work? What opportunities am I not seeing yet? These aren't desperate questions. They are intentional prompts. They give direction, not confusion. While others lie in bed replaying their fears or feeling stuck, the 1% frame their thoughts around solutions and possibilities, knowing that while their bodies sleep, their minds don't. The subconscious goes to work connecting dots, digging through memories, experiences, even things it picked up during the day but you didn't notice. It sifts, sorts, and starts building bridges to answers. You may not wake up with the full solution, but you might wake up with a spark, an idea, a name, an urge to follow up on something that leads to a breakthrough, and that's not luck, it's strategy. You gave your mind something to chew on, and it delivered. See, the mind is always working, but most people let it wander aimlessly. The 1% give it a job, and it's not complicated. Anyone can do it. You don't need a degree or a fancy background. You just need to get quiet, get intentional, and ask the right question or focus on a specific problem you want help with. It's like sending your mind on a treasure hunt while you rest. But here's the key. You must believe that the answer exists and that it can come to you. Doubt shuts the door, faith kicks it open. The 1% don't hope, they expect. They expect answers, ideas, direction. They've trained their minds to work for them, not against them. They don't go to bed replaying failures. They go to bed reviewing what they've learned and how they can do better. That shift alone puts them on a completely different path. And here's the beauty of it. You don't need hours. Just a few quiet minutes before sleep. Sit still, breathe, think about what you want to solve. Frame it clearly. Don't worry about how it will happen. Just set the intention. Then sleep with the confidence that your mind is working even while you're not. Think of it like planting a question and trusting the soil to do its work. You don't dig it up in the morning to see if it grew. You trust the process. The 1% have developed that trust. They know the mind is always listening, always learning, always building, but only if you give it something to build. Otherwise, it just recycles old thoughts and fears. That's what most people do. They fall asleep in a mental loop of anxiety, scarcity, or self-doubt. And what does that create? More of the same. The 1% break that loop. They rewrite the script. They end their day by programming their mind for success, knowing full well that the problems of life are not solved by stress or panic, but by calm, confident focus. That's why, while the world sleeps in confusion, they sleep in direction. And over time, that habit adds up. That's how empires are built. Not by working harder, but by thinking smarter. The mind doesn't need noise, it needs clarity. So ask yourself, what problem do I want to solve? What goal do I want to move toward? Then hand it over to your subconscious, like an assistant working the night shift. Trust that it's sorting things out, bringing new ideas to the surface, connecting what seemed disconnected. That's how breakthroughs happen, quietly, consistently, and with intention. And when you wake up, don't just rush into the day. Sit for a moment, reflect, pay attention to any nudges, ideas, or gut feelings. That might be your mind handing you the first piece of the solution. Most people miss it because they're too busy, too distracted. The 1% listen, they act, they trust. That's the trick. It's not magic, it's discipline. And it works. So tonight, before you sleep, ask, believe, and release. Let your subconscious take the wheel, because while the clock ticks and the world turns, your mind can be your greatest ally if you give it the right orders before you drift away. Every single night, without fail, the top 1% replay their goals in their minds like a mental movie, as if they've already achieved them, as if success is not some distant dream, but a living, breathing reality that belongs to them. They don't just think about goals, they relive them in advance. They lie down, close their eyes, and hit play on the inner screen of their imagination, where they're not just watching their future unfold, but starring in it. They see the scenes with vibrant clarity, crossing the finish line, making the winning pitch, building the business, helping millions, changing lives, achieving financial freedom, or whatever their personal vision may be. They don't just imagine a moment, they build a whole experience. They feel the emotions attached to those achievements, the pride, the relief, the gratitude, the thrill. And because they do this night after night, their goals aren't just written in notebooks or typed in digital planners. They are etched into their subconscious minds. Their minds begin to believe these goals are already real, already in motion, already on their way. This repetition isn't boring, it's powerful. Repetition is how the brain learns, and the 1% know that the mind becomes what it's most often fed. Most people repeat their fears, their complaints, their limitations, and so that becomes their reality. But the high performers, the top-tier achievers, they repeat success, repeat victory, repeat confidence and action in their mental routines until it becomes second nature. This practice is so deeply ingrained in them that it's no longer something they try to do, it's just who they are. They've trained their minds to expect progress, to expect achievement, to expect growth. And the beautiful thing is, you don't need special equipment or a perfect environment to do this. All you need is a few moments of stillness at the end of the day, just before you sleep, when your mind is quiet and your body is at rest. That's when the imagination is most potent, when distractions fade and your inner world becomes the main stage. It's in that window that the 1% plant their mental movie reel, pressing play on their goals like it's already a documentary about their life. Not a dream, but a memory they are stepping into. And over time, this process builds an identity. They stop seeing themselves as someone trying to succeed and start identifying as someone who is successful. That shift is everything, because we always act in alignment with the person we believe we are. So, if you constantly see yourself achieving your goals, if you nightly reinforce that image, your actions by day begin to line up with that vision. You make sharper decisions. You take bolder steps. You cut distractions quicker and chase what matters with more fire. Why? Because the future you see every night becomes the magnet pulling you forward. Most people live in reverse. They replay their failures, their regrets, their missteps, and then wonder why the next day feels heavy or hopeless. The 1% know better. They don't carry the past into the future. They rehearse the future they want to create, and they rehearse it so well that their subconscious can't help but push them toward it. It's like installing mental GPS coordinates. You keep visualizing the destination until your mind becomes obsessed with finding the fastest route there, and the more detailed the mental movie, the more magnetic the pull. Don't just see yourself winning. Hear the sounds, feel the textures, smell the air, speak the words, make it vivid, make it emotional. Emotions are the glue that makes memories stick, and the 1% use that to their advantage. They don't leave their success to chance. They rehearse it like athletes before a big game, like actors before opening night. They go over the lines, the motions, the feeling of it all. And when the time comes to act in the real world, they've already lived the moment so many times in their mind that confidence comes naturally. This is not fantasy. This is focused creation. And the mind, once it believes something, begins finding ways to make it true. That's how habits are formed. That's how confidence is built. That's how reality is shaped. It starts on the inside, always. So ask yourself, what movie are you playing every night before bed? Is it one of triumph or one of worry? Is it a vision of a life you're building or a rerun of the one you're trying to escape? You get to choose the real. You get to direct the story. The 1% choose to preview their destiny nightly, and as a result, they wake up each day a little closer to it. You can do the same. Tonight, instead of mindlessly scrolling, stressing, or numbing out, take 10 minutes to see the life you want as clearly as possible. Picture yourself in it, feel the excitement. Believe in the version of you who's already living it. Let that movie play as you fall asleep, and let your subconscious take it from there. Because the truth is, the more often you replay your goals with clarity, emotion, and intention, the more your mind begins to believe that they're already yours. And once that happens, everything changes. Before they close their eyes at night, the 1% do something so simple yet profoundly powerful. They deliberately replace every lingering doubt in their minds with faith and expectancy, not just hoping things will get better, but knowing they already are. While the rest of the world lies awake worried about tomorrow, overanalyzing mistakes, or mentally arguing with their circumstances, the elite few are busy rewiring their inner world to align with success, abundance, love, and joy. They understand that doubt is a silent killer. It doesn't scream. It whispers, quietly stealing dreams by convincing you they're impossible, too far away, or not meant for you. That's why the 1% don't let doubt have the final word before sleep. They catch it, they challenge it, they replace it. Instead of saying, "What if I fail?" they declare, "What if everything works out?" They don't ask, "What if I'm not enough?" They affirm, "I am more than enough, and every day I'm growing stronger." These aren't empty words. They're conscious, intentional replacements for the toxic self-talk that tries to slip in when the world gets quiet. And at night, when your defenses are low and the day's distractions fade, that's when your subconscious is most impressionable. That's when your mind is wide open to influence. The 1% know this window is sacred. They treat those last minutes before sleep not as leftover time, but as prime time to install belief systems that serve them. They don't wait for faith to magically appear. They build it word by word, thought by thought, night after night. They feed their minds ideas like, "I attract solutions. Everything I need is within reach. The universe is moving things in my favor." And even in the face of challenges, they expect progress. Expectancy, you see, is faith in motion. It's not just thinking things will improve, it's living as if they already are. That's why the 1% don't just go to bed hoping. They go to bed certain. And that certainty becomes the soil where tomorrow's success grows. Doubt can't survive where faith lives. The two cannot share the same mental space. So every night, consciously, they choose faith over fear, belief over anxiety, clarity over confusion. And it's not that the 1% never feel fear, it's that they don't feed it. They feel it, they acknowledge it, but they don't give it power. They don't let it take root overnight. They uproot it with affirmations, with gratitude, with visions of what's possible. They understand that whatever they fall asleep thinking about tends to grow, so they're careful with those thoughts. They protect that space. They guard it like a fortress, because they know that doubt multiplies when left unchecked, but so does faith. So does expectancy. If you water a seed of doubt, you'll wake up with more hesitation, more stress, more fear. But if you water faith, you'll wake up energized, inspired, ready to move. That's not magic. It's the result of intentional mental conditioning. Most people go to bed rehearsing the worst. The 1% go to bed rehearsing the best. They don't say, "I hope it works out." They say, "It's already happening." They don't lie awake dreading the morning. They fall asleep welcoming it, knowing it brings new opportunities. And here's the thing, it's not about lying to yourself. It's about choosing the most empowering truth. You can look at your life and see what's missing, or you can look at your life and see what's possible. Both are true, but only one will move you forward. The 1% choose to see what's possible, and they plant that vision deep into their subconscious every single night. So when they rise, their actions, their words, their choices all begin to reflect that inner confidence. It becomes natural, automatic, and you don't need to be perfect to do this. You just need to be intentional. You can start tonight. Before you sleep, ask yourself, what belief would serve me better than the one I've been carrying? If you've been doubting your worth, replace it with, "I am enough." If you've been doubting your future, replace it with, "My best days are ahead." If you've been doubting your ability, replace it with, "I have everything it takes." Say it. Feel it, believe it, even if just for a few seconds longer than the doubt. Let that be your final thought before drifting off. That's how change begins, not in some massive life event, but in quiet decisions repeated over time. That's how the 1% build unshakable belief. They do it in the silence of the night, when no one's watching, when nothing's distracting them. They use that time to take control of the one thing that shapes everything, their mindset. And when you build that kind of faith, when you expect good things with conviction, when you replace doubt with powerful, clear beliefs, you start to see your life shift. Opportunities start to appear. Energy begins to rise, people respond to you differently, and most importantly, you respond to life differently. You stop playing small, you stop settling, you begin to walk in the direction of your vision like it's already yours. That's the hidden trick the 1% use every night. They don't just go to sleep. They go to work on their beliefs, on their self-image, on their expectations. And day by day, they become the version of themselves they've been falling asleep as. You can too, tonight. Choose faith, choose expectancy, replace the doubt, plant new beliefs, water them with repetition, and watch how your life begins to reflect the power of what you chose to believe in the quietest hours. To the 1%, sleep isn't just a biological necessity. It's a sacred tool, a hidden workshop for the subconscious mind where dreams are molded into reality, where intentions are whispered into the universe, and where the next level of their life begins to form behind the curtain of rest. They understand something most people miss entirely. That sleep is not the end of a day, it's the beginning of transformation. While the average person collapses into bed, exhausted, mentally cluttered, or emotionally drained, the elite few approach sleep with intention, almost like a ritual. They don't just sleep to rest their bodies, they sleep to activate their minds. Before they close their eyes, they feed their subconscious with visions, affirmations, and desires as if they're planting seeds into the richest soil, knowing full well that the hours spent asleep are not wasted time but a golden opportunity to reprogram their inner world. They understand that during sleep, the conscious mind steps aside and the subconscious, the real power center, comes forward, absorbing every idea, every image, every emotion that was handed to it just moments before drifting off. So they hand it faith, not fear. They hand it clarity, not confusion. They hand it gratitude, not regret. And in doing so, they turn their beds into temples of transformation. They let go of stress not by accident, but on purpose. They set intentions. They repeat empowering thoughts. They visualize the version of themselves they're becoming, not just as a wish, but as a belief that it's already done. You see, they treat sleep as part of their strategy, not as an afterthought. Just as an athlete trains their body or a musician practices their craft, the 1% prepare their minds through the night, knowing their subconscious will continue solving, creating, and aligning even while they're not awake. And this isn't about doing more, it's about doing smarter. It's about using what already exists, the sleep we all need, and turning it into a powerful accelerator. They drift into sleep with focus, with energy directed toward becoming, not escaping. Most people use sleep as a way to run from the pain of the day, the pressure of life, or the things they couldn't control. But the 1% use it as a launchpad. They understand that while the body sleeps, the mind organizes, connects, and shapes thoughts into patterns. If you feed your mind negativity, stress, or doubt, it organizes more of that. If you feed it hope, direction, and vision, it builds on that too. The 1% don't leave this to chance. They give their mind the exact blueprint. They don't allow random thoughts to set the tone. They set the tone themselves, and as a result, they often wake up with clarity, solutions, ideas, and energy that others can't explain. They aren't lucky, they're intentional. And it all begins before the first yawn, before the first blink of tired eyes. They've learned that the doorway between waking and sleeping is a powerful threshold, one that most people cross carelessly, without awareness, without purpose. But they cross it with certainty. They don't scroll through chaos or listen to noise before bed. They listen to what empowers them, read what inspires them, think thoughts that build them. That's the trick. That's the secret. That's the practice. Because what happens during those last few moments before sleep sets the tone for what the subconscious mind will chew on for hours. And the 1% know that the subconscious doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's vividly imagined. It simply takes the dominant thought and begins constructing a reality around it. So while the average mind is replaying worries, the elite mind is rehearsing wins. While most are collapsing into sleep, hoping to escape their life for a few hours, the 1% are preparing to build a better one. They sleep with purpose, and over time, that purpose becomes power. They start to notice changes, not just in energy, but in focus, in confidence, in how they carry themselves, and how opportunities begin to align. That's not luck, it's subconscious alignment. Because when the inner world is programmed properly, the outer world begins to reflect it. It starts small, an idea, a hunch, a chance meeting, but it builds momentum, and that momentum begins in the silence of the night. So, sleep to them is not just downtime, it's not just unconscious recovery. It's part of the strategy, and if you're serious about rising to your next level, if you're ready to move beyond surviving into thriving, you must begin to treat sleep the same way, not as a break from life, but as a tool to enhance it. You must feed your mind good material. You must set an intention, however simple, like tomorrow, I will act with confidence, or solutions are coming to me even now. You must see your goals in full color, imagine them as done, and fall asleep with the feeling that they're unfolding in your favor. The body may rest, but the mind keeps building, and that's the edge. That's the advantage. That's why the 1% keep rising while others stay stuck. They are not just using their days wisely, they're using their nights wisely too. They've discovered that when you sleep with vision, you rise with purpose. When you sleep with belief, you rise with power, and when you sleep with clarity, you rise with direction. So don't waste another night falling asleep by accident. Start falling asleep on purpose. Use sleep not just to recover from the world, but to prepare for the one you're creating. Because when you treat sleep as a tool for manifestation, not just rest, you tap into a part of your mind that's always been there, quietly waiting to help you win. If only you'd give it the right instructions before you close your eyes.